Before we begin today, a brief content warning. Today we will be discussing the first episode of Twin Peaks titled The Northwest Passage, which contains depictions and discussions of sexual assault and rape of a minor. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And we've been threatening this for a while. But first off, I have kind of news. Very sort of news. Vaguely news.
What in our sphere are you going to be talking about today?
It's the X-Files as it usually is.
Okay.
So this is a bit complicated. There's nothing terribly interesting, but I just thought, I made a note of it and thought I'll bring that up because it's something to talk about. Phalos has been reviewing Sliders.
So, Phelim Porteus, is that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Better known to the internet as Phalos, does lots of horror movies, did his... whatever that Resident Evil thing he once did was that we've already seen clips of. But he's been reviewing all the Sliders, which is quite interesting to revisit it, because season 1 only has 9 episodes, much like another series we're about to talk about. And it's one of the ones where I thought, have I seen all these episodes? Yes, I have seen all of these episodes. Anyway, one episode has a guest star of Dean Haglund.
Oh, interesting.
Now, Phalos pointed out, and something that we didn't quite grasp at the time, is he's on Sliders simultaneously to The X-Files.
Okay.
In fact, he's not in an X-Files episode because he was on Sliders.
Oh, right.
Which is fearful symmetry.
Oh, yeah, when the rest of the gunmen are there.
Yeah, and he's inexplicably missing because he's setting up the teleconference call or whatever.
Oh, neat.
So, of course, right, so we are going to revisit Twin Peaks. And if you're listening to this and have never heard of Twin Peaks, maybe you haven't, but you've almost certainly seen something that's referenced it, because it's basically inspired too much over the years. I mean, one of the most outlet ones where you wouldn't think it would be there is Gravity Falls, is suffused with Twin Peaks. The entire setting's there. Pacifica Northwest is probably called Pacifica Northwest because of this episode title.
True, yeah.
The Black Lodge, something that's not going to make sense for a while, is just depicted in Gravity Falls. Bill Cipher, we've got some stuff to say about Bill Cipher, but that has to wait for a bit.
Not to mention Carl McLaughlin gets a cameo right at the end of Twin Peaks as the bus driver.
Exactly. Further afield, Alan Wake and by extension Control all link back into Twin Peaks inexorably. You can't get away from either of them.
Silent Hill as well.
Silent Hill is admitted powered by Twin Peaks in more than one vector as well. X-Files definitely took some parts of Twin Peaks. I'm pretty sure American Gothic had to take a few cues from it. There were other series that were trying to take the mantle of Twin Peaks in the aftermath of its cancellation. The only one I remember of is Wild Palms, I think, which was a miniseries I still need to get hold of at some point, because it was advertised as the next Twin Peaks when it went out.
Oh, okay.
Never actually got to see it, but that was how they were pushing it. So one thing before we get into any of the details is there's a critical difference between us looking at Twin Peaks now, or even us looking at Twin Peaks when I first watched it was like late 90s, and the audience who would have watched it in 1990. Because we know we're more familiar with who David Lynch is, and we're also more familiar with the series' reputation. Those audiences in 1990 did not know what they were getting into. No idea what kind of thing this is going to turn out to be.
I have some stories with regards to that as well. I'll save them for after your introduction, though.
But that's just the odd thing about the retrospective of it depends where on the timeline of the world you actually encounter Twin Peaks as to what kind of anticipation you're going to have. Because even if we're not going to try and predict the future, because we're going to try and do this as a pure rewatch, we know what David Lynch is famous for. And in 1990, he was famous for a few things, but the thing you're most likely to know him for was Blue Velvet, which has a massive influence on Twin Peaks. Given Blue Velvet is kind of proto-Twin Peaks, but it's not as weird. I haven't actually seen it, but it's very much, here is a picturesque Americana 1950s suburban setting, and it's rotten to the core underneath.
Omelas.
Or Omelas. And this is like very Twin Peaksy in of itself. One other thing, though, to deviate from how we normally do things, is we aren't going to try and do a cast list up front because there's too many of the jerks.
Twin Peaks, if you have never seen it, and we're about to introduce it to you if you have not, has a huge ensemble cast. You basically get to know, maybe 12, 15, 20 core members of the community, and they recur every single episode.
Yes, and they are not lightweight actors. These are people who've done a lot of stuff. So it's not even possible to just give them short shrift where, like, Carl McLaughlin alone, who we'll do next week, obviously, is just, well, if it is a David Lynch project, he's probably in it. So for our starting point here, we'll just do 3 of the major creatives. While this is the pilot episode, also known as Northwest Passage, there's a whole extra level of complication with it being the pilot, which we're going to get to down the line. We're well aware that there is another version of this with another 20 minutes tacked on to the end of it, and that changes things quite a bit.
For clarity, largely this episode is known as Northwest Passage, and the other episode Nick is referring to is called The International Pilot.
Yeah. Which was released separately. I mean, I bought this on video once, because they sort of said, buy the the feature-length episode, first episode of Twin Peaks. It's like, oh, that's cool. Watch the end of it. It's like, what the hell is going on? Wait, so that's, but then that's the, and this will make sense.
We do plan to look at the International Pilot at some point, but we'll probably save it for the end.
Yeah, although we can actually cheat and just watch the last 20 minutes because the rest of it is the same.
Pretty much, yeah. There's not many other edits other than that.
So this was first broadcast on the 8th of April 1990, directed by David Lynch and written by Mark Frost and David Lynch. So, if you've never encountered David Lynch, good, well done. I don't know how you've managed to do this.
Sadly recently passed away
Best known for as a film director, though he's dabbled in other creative mediums. He's done poetry, he's done film, TV. He's just was notorious on Twitter for a while. He directed such. His first film was Eraserhead, which we have watched and is a deeply strange experience.
Absolute masterpiece of surrealist cinema, just to prepare you all for that.
And again, this is one of those aspects of, if you know who David Lynch is in the late 90s, your appreciation of what Twin Peaks would be different. Because most people, I think, would be going, let's know about Eraserhead, but we're going with the next film, The Elephant Man, as your point of origin for him.
I entirely forgot about The Elephant Man, yeah.
And in between these is the fascinating film he almost directed but didn't. He was on the shortlist for, I'm not kidding, Return of the Jedi.
That would have been marvellous.
Would it just? He ultimately turned it down because he knew full well he would not have control. That George Lucas would be calling the shots, and Richard Marquand, who did direct it, was basically George Lucas' puppet. So, he followed that up, though, with Dune. Not the most recent one, the old Dune, which is a strange experience, but it does have a few Twin Peaks cast members and Patrick Stewart. Blue Velvet, already mentioned, is his very famous other film that's basically Twin Peaks 0.1. Wild at Heart, the Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me film, which we'll get to much later on. Lost Highway, The Straight Story, Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, that for you Disco Elysium fans, On the Air, and Hotel Room. So, the lesser-known other person involved in this is Mark Frost, who comes from more of a TV background, has written for some interesting things that you wouldn't have thought of. So I'll hit you with this one. Nightbreed.
Oh!
Uncredited, but he wrote part of Nightbreed.
I do like that film.
He also wrote, and this one was quite a surprise, Fantastic Four. This
Which
would be
one?
the 2005 version with Jessica Alba.
Oh, yes.
And also Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Huh.
But his major one before this was Hill Street Blues.
Okay.
And our other person who has got such an influence on everything is Angelo Badalamenti, who did the music. He is a long-term David Lynch collaborator, but has done things like Blue Velvet. But then some surprises in here for him. So, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Okay.
City of Lost Children. Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, Cabin Fever. The Eli Roth film.
The Eli Roth film.
But also, and here's the double whammy for the end ones, Dark Water and the Wicker Man remake.
Oh. So, would you like to give us a synopsis of the pilot, aka Northwest Passage?
I would, and this one comes from the Twin Peaks wiki because Wikipedia synopses are kind of rubbish. Or they're too lackluster.
Okie dokie.
On the morning of February 24th, 1989, in the Washington town of Twin Peaks, Pete Martell leaves his home, where he lives with his wife, Catherine Martell, and his sister-in-law, Josie Packard. He's going fishing. However, he soon notices an object by the shore, and when he approaches it, he discovers it is a dead body wrapped in plastic. He calls the sheriff's department and informs Sheriff Truman of his discovery. Truman and his deputy Andy go to the body with Will Hayward, the town doctor. Andy soon breaks down crying while taking pictures of the scene, and Truman and Hayward turn over the body, discovering that it is Laura Palmer, a popular high school student and prom queen. At the Palmer household, Sarah Palmer calls for her daughter to come downstairs. After receiving no answer, she searches the house and does not find her. She calls the home of Laura's boyfriend, Bobby Briggs, and asks if the children are together, but her mother does not know. Sarah contacts the school, and the football coach says that Bobby did not turn up for practice and hasn't been for some time. Meanwhile, Audrey Horne leaves the school, while her father, Benjamin Horne, discusses the Ghostwood development project with Leyland Palmer, Laura's father. They are planning to take over the Packard sawmill, have a group of Norwegian businessmen to invest in the project. Palmer is taken away by the concierge for a phone call from his wife, who is still worried about Laura, and is then visited by Sheriff Truman, who tells him that his daughter is dead. Both parents break down in tears. At the Double R Diner, Shirley Johnson and Bobby Briggs leave together, their secret relationship being suspected by the diner's owner, Norma Jennings. Bobby takes Shirley home, but decides to drop her from a distance as he notices that her husband Leo's truck is parked in a driveway, despite Shirley telling him that Leo was out of town. Truman takes Leyland to the hospital to confirm the identity of the body, and he breaks down into tears once more. At school, Laura's best friend Donna Hayward meets Audrey Horne, and then James Hurley, who approaches Donna asking if she has seen Laura yet, commenting it was a nice day for a picnic. Bobby arrives and is informed he is wanted by the police, and his best friend Mike confirms that something has happened. Laura's homeroom teacher takes roll, and a state officer briefly talks to her that an announcement will be made shortly. Donna and James slowly realise what has happened, and the former begins to cry. Bobby insists he knows nothing of Laura's death, and is not responsible. The principal announces Laura's death and cancels classes for the day before also breaking down in tears. The sheriff's department interview Mrs. Palmer about Laura's activities the previous night, and Sarah confirms that she last saw her daughter around 9 o'clock, but that later she had a phone call. Hawk searches Laura's room and finds a diary and a camcorder. Andy then informs Sheriff Truman that another call has come through from Janek Pulaski, reporting that his daughter Ronette is also missing. At the mill, Josie and Catherine fight as Josie wishes to shut down the mill for the day due to the murder and disappearance. Pete takes Josie's side and shuts down the mill. A dazed and injured Ronette is then discovered on a bridge with tattered clothes and rope around her wrists. James goes to his uncle Ed Hurley's gas station and gives him a note to give to Donna, requesting her to meet him at the roadhouse later in the evening. Ed's wife Nadine then tells him to pick up a set of drapes she has ordered. The tone of the episode then changes dramatically when Special Agent Dale Cooper arrives in town and meets with Sheriff Truman, informing him that the FBI will be taking over Ronette's case and requests his cooperation. They go to see Ronette, who is attended by a doctor, but she is unresponsive. Cooper and Truman enter an elevator with a one-armed man and then encounter the eccentric psychiatrist Dr. Lawrence Jacoby. Jacoby tells them that Laura was his patient and he wishes to assist them in examining the body but was denied. In addition, he said that Laura's parents did not know she was a patient of his. In the morgue, Cooper examines Laura's body and finds a small piece of paper with the letter R underneath her left ring fingernail. Donna meets with Ed, who gives her the note. However, Mike, her boyfriend, arrives and angrily tells her to go to the sheriff's station to support Bobby. Nadine then commands Ed to hang up her drapes. Back in the station, Cooper examines what was found in Laura's room. Inside the diary, he finds a safe deposit key in a plastic envelope which also contains a white powder which he suspects will be cocaine. Sheriff Truman has his doubts due to Laura's character. In the diary, there is a statement on the last completed page with a statement that she was nervous about meeting Jay later that night. Andy and a group of other lawmen discover the murder scene, an old train car after following Ronette's route down the train tracks. Cooper then questions Bobby, asking for his activities with her the previous night and the fight they had the previous week. They then watch a tape found in Laura's camcorder of Laura and Donna at a picnic. Cooper states that Laura had been seeing someone else, though Bobby insists that he does not know the identity of Jay. Bobby is let go and goes to find Mike as Donna is being questioned. They plan to find the biker whose name starts with the letter J. Donna is questioned by Cooper but insists that a female hiker took the video found on the camcorder. Adrian lets her go and Lucy comes to tell them that she heard Bobby and Mike discuss the biker. Cooper reveals he already knew about the bike, having seen it reflected in Laura's eye in the videotape. The same bike that James is sitting next to with a gold necklace, somewhere in a remote part of Twin Peaks. Cooper and Truman go to the train car murder scene where they find a bloodied hammer, a rag, half of a heart-shaped necklace, and a note written in blood that reads, "Fire, walk with me." Cooper and Truman go to the bank to fetch a Laura's safe deposit box. Inside they find a copy of Flesh World and over $10,000. Inside the Flesh World magazine they find a photo of Ronette Pulaski, confirming a connection with Laura Palmer. And inside is a photo of Leo's truck. Leo observes in the astronauts' home and asks his wife Shelley why there is more than one brand of cigarette inside. He tells her to only start smoking one brand, threatening that he will break her neck if she does not comply. Cooper leads a town meeting informing of the FBI's investigation of Laura's murder, as it is believed to be linked to the murder of Teresa Banks the previous year, and the killer may be a citizen of Twin Peaks. A curfew was put into effect for anyone under 18 years of age. Dr. Hayward tells his wife about the murder. Donna overhears this, and especially the details about the gold necklace, and sneaks out, using her sister to cover for her. Mike and Bobby come to look for Donna, but Dr. Hayward tries to fetch her and discovers that she has gone out. Coop and Truman are performing a stakeout at the Roadhouse, as Ed and Norma discuss their plans to leave their respective spouses so they can be together. Mike and Bobby arrive and observe the arrival of Donna. Cooper has Truman call in backup and report that Donna has been found. Mike aggressively goes to her, sparking a bar fight. Bobby knocks out Ed, and other patrons get involved as Joey, another biker, escorts Donna away from the fight. They ride off with Cooper and Truman in pursuit. The lawmen lose Donna, and Joey takes Donna to meet James, who tells her about his meeting with Laura the previous night, when she was acting as if she was a completely different person. As James breaks down crying, Donna tries to calm him and they end up kissing. They hear sirens and decide to bury James's half of the necklace. James tries to take Donna home, but is prevented by Cooper and Truman. James is taken to custody for questioning, while Donna is released to her father, but his presence is requested for more questioning the next morning. Truman goes to see Josie, his lover, and Catherine informs Benjamin Horn of the sheriff's arrival, and they plan to meet. Harry and Josie look out where Laura Palmer's body was found, supposing the murder must have happened 24 hours previously. As Sarah Palmer rests on her sofa at home, she is suddenly frightened by a vision of a gloved hand digging up James's half of the necklace.
Da-da-da-da.
Tyrion. You made a point to me that it sort of really throws you in the deep end with the characters.
There's so many of them.
Yeah, and I said I think I know why.
I'd also argue that you've stated just then some of their connections. I don't think we're even told some of their connections in there. Like Big Ed being
and James, yeah.
James.
We don't know that one.
No.
So yeah, I'll admit that one's... I don't know where we're meant to pick that one up from. But... So one thing I think it's trying to do that is borne out by some people's theories about Twin Peaks is it is basically replicating a soap opera. And was one thing that I've realised is that... Because we don't watch soap operas as much at the best of times. I never have done. But how many soap operas have you ever seen the first episode of?
I remember... I know soap operas are a bit different in the UK to the US. We don't have as many of them, and the ones we have tend to be very, very long running.
Yes.
But I do remember when Channel 5 first got its soap opera, and I think they brought something like Brookside. And I remember it being a big flagship thing, it being the start of a soap opera.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that you have the same fanfare in America, where there are a lot more soap operas and new ones are being produced all the time.
Yeah. With a soap opera, though, you won't do it like a sort of limited run TV series. You just got to throw everything. You got to throw all the intrigue in fast. And there's a point of connection I thought of, which is I haven't ever seen it, but I've seen the first scene of EastEnders, which is like one of the big UK ones.
I must admit, I've seen the first ever episode of Coronation Street as well, because when you went on the tour of Granada Studios in Manchester, they used to show you the very first episode of it.
Okay.
But that's the only reason why, and it was, for me, completely out of context, and I had no idea what this thing was. But
presumably they were, introduced a lot of people very fast.
Well, it's not that it introduces people fast. It throws you in the deep end like you are another person who's just moved to that community.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's like, oh, here is Ken and his family. Ken's a local bricklayer, but you infer that through the interactions. It doesn't exposit things to you.
And I would say this is exactly what Twin Peaks is trying to do.
Mm.
It's not doing it like a TV series. This is presenting itself as a soap opera, but it's a weekly soap opera rather than a daily soap opera.
Interestingly, that was the pitch, and it was met with varying opinions from ABC, let's say, when it came out. But their pitch was originally it was going to open with a murder, which it does, the murder of Laura Palmer. And that would be forefront for a while, but would gradually fade to the background as the individual stories of the characters kind of became more prevalent and people became more invested in them. So essentially, it was designed as a murder hook to lure you into this soap opera, essentially.
Exactly.
But interestingly, when that was pitched, some people at ABC were all for it, and some were a lot more conservative, because there had never been anything like this before. And essentially, everyone's always nervous to kind of put something forward if they think the public's going to say, whoa, no, that's too weird. We want our normal soap operas back.
So one of the interesting thing, though, the EastEnders connection I mentioned, is that also starts with a dead body.
Oh, does it?
Yes, they break into someone's flat because they haven't seen him for a while and they're dead on a chair.
Oh, okay.
So it's not an unheard of start for a soap opera. So this is how it is. I think this is why I sort of said at the top is your knowledge and estimation of David Lynch gives you a very different skew of what you're going to get by going into Twin Peaks now than it would have been in 1990.
Interestingly, Laura Palmer is based on a real case which remains unsolved to this day. The case dated back to 1908 and was in New York, and it was when a 20-year-old governess, who was called Hazel Drew, was found washed ashore, and it never got solved.
Yeah.
And essentially, the inspiration came to, I believe it was Mark Frost's grandmother, who once told him this story.
Okay.
And she herself has been commemorised in the series because her name's Calhoun, and it's Calhoun Memorial is the hospital.
Very good.
Yeah.
One of the quirks to the episode, which I think is also not something you're going to pick up on the same way these days, is it's meant to be reminiscent of a soap opera. Because there's a lot of mundane stuff here. In fact, one of the odd things of revisiting this episode, and excusing the last 20 minutes, we know we'll get to it at some point, is just how straightforward it is. It's bleak, it's dark, but it's occasionally funny, but it's not weird. Except for one or two things, I'd say.
Okay.
So you could discount the one-armed man in the hospital, which is just a fugitive reference. Mrs. Palmer's dream at the end, at least we assume that's what she's seeing, because how she could see that, we don't know.
I debated this with you as being ambiguous, and I did look it up online. She is supposed to be having a vision of the necklace being taken.
Yeah.
Which is kind of baffling. But I was thinking the two were just juxtaposed, and we were going to, find out later what it was that she was dreaming about. Because she mentions earlier that she was having nightmares in the episode.
The other weird thing, and you might overlook it, but if you were thinking of this as a soap, is everyone crying. Because there's a few bits bound up with this, because you pointed out to me that the population of Twin Peaks is too high. And even the creatives admit that it is too high. They wanted it to be lower.
Oh, we had this argument before we started. And I want it on record that I am right.
You are right. You are fully correct.
It is supposed to be like 5,120 people, I think it was.
Yeah.
But ABC said such a small town would not be relatable, so they made them bump it up. Which is why Twin Peaks' population seems a lot higher than it actually should be when you actually look at that town.
Yes, and I was thinking about this of there's no way a population of 51,000 everyone knows who Laura Palmer is. Population of 5,000, you probably can get away with that one. The local prom queen is going to be very famous.
Yeah.
You haven't got a lot else going on in town, you're going to know who she is. So everyone cries, but one of the things that I don't know if it's foreknowledge of David Lynch or just where the series is going to go, is Laura Palmer's death, though, isn't treated like you'd find in... Certainly an English soap wouldn't do this. I don't think most American soaps would do either. Laura's death is actually a psychic wound on the population of Twin Peaks, which is really odd when you think about it, but it's so far-reaching. And it's further reaching than it should be, because she is a high school prom queen, which... I know there's that common joke in American sitcoms or pop culture that everyone makes such a big thing of prom, and then afterwards it's like a minor footnote in your life. Unless you're in Drop Dead Gorgeous or something, which makes a lot of mockery over this, but...
It's often the peaked in high school trope.
Yeah.
Where some woman in her later years will have done nothing since high school and will cling to the fact she was once the prom queen.
Yeah. I think it's a deliberate choice to make Laura Palmer a prom queen like this, and that, unfortunately for her, this is the peak of her life. Everything she did afterwards is going downhill.
Well, yeah, because she's now wrapped in plastic.
She's now wrapped in plastic and dead. But the town cares about her in a way that it shouldn't do, as far as I can tell. And then we've, of course, Blue Velvet's influence here of Laura wasn't all sunshine and flowers.
Or at least it's heavily inferred so far she's not.
Well...
There's something else we don't know about.
There's a plenty we don't know about. We have a possible drug connection. We have $10,000, which is a lot for a high school student to have. Pornographic magazine or pornographic pen pal magazine or whatever the hell Fleshful is meant to be. It's not clear quite how it works.
It seems to be like
classified.
I was going to call it like a prostitution catalogue almost, which is especially a grey area given that both Renette and Laura are underaged as well.
Well, there is that. I would say it's kind of like how Craigslist used to be.
Yeah, it's got that kind of feel to it.
On paper, it's like that kind of thing.
I suppose you don't know yet if Laura's got anything to do with that seedy element. We know Renette's.
Yes, but in fact, it's in Laura's locks.
With a huge wad of cash. Yeah. It's looking pretty suspect.
Something's going on there. We already have, though, that she has a public boyfriend and she has a private boyfriend. And while James Hurley definitely would embody Jay in that diary, we don't know that's what she means.
See, I still think that's sus that Jay would be James, given the fact she's nervous about meeting him, and James is a person in her class. She's already met him. They're kind of friends already. There's that videotape of them hanging out with Donna.
True, but this, again, I don't think we actually know quite what state James and Laura's relationship is even at. I mean, this could be the first time they're sneaking off to just be together or something.
On the day she dies.
Yes, but she doesn't know she's going to die, does she?
No,
when she read the diary page. To get back to the soap opera thing as well, though, we have is it pointlessly complicated already?
Oh, it's so complicated.
It's like we've got 3 infidelities, 2 of which are outright adultery. We've got some very dubious business thing going on. So the outright infidelities, if you missed this, are Ed is cheating with Norma, who he's married to Nadine. She's married to Hank, who's in prison for manslaughter.
I'd argue we don't know how far that's going. They're talking about leaving each other, but we don't know they're actually sleeping together or anything like that.
That's true. They're definitely sneaking around behind each other.
They're definitely sneaking behind, and there's an emotional affair going on. We don't know how deep that one is. It's not like some of the other ones.
Yes. We've got Laura is cheating on Bobby with James, to whatever degree that's going on for.
We've got Bobby himself is cheating with Shelley, who is married to Leo.
Yep, and I think we'll mention Leo in particular in a minute, because Leo deserves his own kind of bookend. We don't know quite what the situation with Sheriff Truman and Josie is. Her husband is reportedly dead, but their relationship seems to be secret.
Yeah, it's definitely not a public relationship.
Because Catherine is spying on them to report back to Benjamin Horn. So you've got some scurrilous business thing going on as well.
Yeah, you've also got the whole Josie is the owner of the plant, but there's some kind of underhand dealings going between Catherine, who runs the plant, and Ben Horn, who owns the local massive hotel.
Yes.
Who seem to be trying to snipe it out from under us somehow.
It's presumably connected to the Ghostwood leisure complex idea, which is what the Norwegians are here for.
Yeah.
Because they're Norwegians in this episode. I didn't really mention them much, but there's a whole bunch of Norwegians who were just here.
And Leland Palmer is also connected to this in some way, but I wasn't entirely clear what he was doing.
I think I've never been entirely clear what Leland does.
I was trying to figure out. I think he might be like some kind of accountant or something like that.
Yeah,
But he definitely works for Ben Horn in some way, or Ben Horn's his client.
Yeah, I don't think we ever actually get. I'm pretty sure, and we'll keep track of this. I don't think anyone ever specifies what Leland Palmer does. He's just around.
Yeah,
he's here. It's fine.
I've got to admit, the personal anecdote, you told me to watch this series when I was in university, and my point about it still holds. When I saw this series, the only thing by David Lynch I'd ever seen was Eraserhead, which, as aforementioned, is a masterpiece, but it's very different to Twin Peaks.
It does kind of prepare you more than watching June does.
But when I had to sit through 45 minutes of people crying, I resented you so wholeheartedly, thinking, what the hell have you got me into this here? Is this the series? Is it just people crying all the time? And then Coop appears.
To be fair, the first time I watched it, I wasn't aware of how funny it would be. Which is the flip side that is often overlooked, and it's something that later series are going to sort of ground out the series a bit, because we're not getting much humour later on.
I want that as a testimony, though, for people who are put off by the start of this, is you got to stick through about an hour of this pilot to get to the point where people stop crying, basically, and then it kind of takes off.
Yes, we have Carl McLaughlin as Agent Dale Cooper, who is another one of the it just iconic characters from the series. It's sort of just there's no one else quite like him. Who has analogues in other media? We referenced a whole lot of games at the start, but I missed out, and we'll do it here, is Deadly Premonition, the infamous So Bad It's Good video game from Swery, or whatever his name is.
Oh, that's very Twin Peaksy.
It's very Twin Peaksy. Down to having the FBI agent who talks to an unseen accomplice constantly via one method or another. In Deadly Premonition, he does seem to be talking to either the viewer or to an imaginary friend. Coop at least talks into a dictaphone to at least keep up the pretense there is someone on the other end. And I understand. Called Diane. And I understand for a while there was theories going around as to whether anyone was actually listening to those tapes. Coop has an infectious joy to life that feels very odd.
I do feel you can kind of see it by the end of the episode as you don't really get a good feel on Coop right away in this one. It's as the kind of scenes go on and you have his joys like when he thinks he's seen a cottontail rabbit and stuff like that. You start to see this just kind of boyish charm.
Yeah, I think I've got an answer to that because I actually saw it in the notes. Is David Lynch wrote all his bits. Frost did the other wordy characters, but David Lynch wrote all of Cooper's stuff.
Which is why he's kind of...
all over them.
Feels like he's on another planet most of the time.
Yes. I mean, as I said, one of my favourite moments from this episode is the fact when he's going through Laura's things, it's like, here's a diary, here's the clue about Jay, here's the cocaine, or probable cocaine, here's a key, here is a box of chocolate bunnies. It's like, the dissonance is just fantastic to me. I love it.
I quite like the bit that Laura Palmer's diary is locked and everyone just brushes that off. It's like, where's the key? Oh, I don't know. Oh, all right then. And then Cooper just picks up the diary and says, it's locked, and snaps the lock open.
Do you want to talk about Leo?
Not really.
Okay, put it another way. He's not a nice person, but it's... and he's not a good actor. But he's terrifying.
Yeah.
In a way I can't quite express as to why he just feels... So Shelley has married this man, and clearly Shelley isn't happy because she's cheating with a guy. We don't know how old... We don't know the age difference between these two, do we?
I assumed at first that Shelley had to be another high school student, but she's not.
If she's married to him, she can't be, because she's also in full-time
But
employment.
that means she must be older if she's married too.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not weird. It's not creepy, but
I don't know what age you have to be to get married in America, but presumably it's not high school age.
Well, I think it's one of those overlap things because you presumably can get married at 18 and you leave high school at 18. So she and Bobby at least could be in the right region.
They might be within a year of each other then.
Yeah, but it's not going to be far off. And I'll confess that Leo is not a good actor.
No, I think of all of them.
He's quite bad.
Bad's a harsh word,
Okay.
but I don't think he's as strong as the other characters, no. Or at least in the little we saw of him in this episode.
And yet, he is actually terrifying.
I think it's more the fact that Shelley is clearly incredibly vulnerable, is the fact that makes him feel sinister. It's... You're scared for her.
Okay. Oh, so it's not he's a good actor, it's her response to him is so good that it's actually filling in his negative ability.
But she's clearly terrified of him.
Is.
Bobby's clearly terrified of him as well. So he's already got this kind of feeling behind him before you even see him. And then you get that one scene with him where he threatens to break her neck if she smokes the wrong kind of cigarette.
Yes. Very petty, very terrible man. No, I've realised what it is. This is like Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Well, the whole point is that you build up the mystique of someone by him being fearful or, give him all these things or, killing him mid-Gazolo and putting it on top of a stake.
Mm.
You do that before you meet him properly so he feels threatening from the off. So they've done it, they haven't done such a long build-up, but it's still Bobby freaks out, Shelley freaks out.
You also have the power imbalance there in the fact that Leo looks a lot older than her too.
Yes.
So you've got her kind of trapped by this older, seemingly violent man, even though we haven't actually seen him touch her.
I don't think we need to. It's sort of, there's an air of menace to him.
And how scared she is in his presence. You know that even though you haven't seen Leo do something, Leo has done something.
Yes. He's a trucker, and he's also, curiously, not where he should have been last night.
Given that he claimed he was a good day's drive away or something like that.
They would be fine to have their infidelity at home because he won't be there.
But his name doesn't begin with J, so we're probably fine.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, we're making a lot of assumptions about this diary page, aren't we?
You also have the weird thing that Cooper's looking for, which is the letter under the fingernails.
Yes.
Because he inspects both Renette and Laura and he finds the letter on Laura.
He does, on her ring finger specifically.
Mm.
It's a hell of a thing to even try to talk about. We're going to have to just leave it there, given we actually know what that is, but we can't bring it up yet.
Maybe at this stage, that would make Leo seem the most guilty person, though, given he's a trucker. And we know that the other murder or the other unexplained death or whatever it is didn't happen in Twin Peaks.
That's true.
So you've got somebody who does frequently travel large distances.
Quite so. And we have Ronette should, if she recovers, be able to give some pointers.
However, they're not sure she will because she's suffered kind of massive brain damage, I think.
Yeah, she's not in a good way. I was going to say, and I don't know if we should actually go with it, because I was noting yesterday that there are people who clearly isn't meant to be the killer at this point, or they're not written to be the killer because their actions don't work if you're going to push that. And it's Bobby and Benjamin Horn are the biggest ones because they don't slip up in the way that you would do if you know it's coming. They're very genuine, very assertive, and have no idea the news is going to arrive.
I think it's safe to say at this point as well, because it doesn't really spoil anything, that originally the intention was to never reveal who killed Laura Palmer.
Yes.
This was something that was mandated by ABC quite late on in the running.
Yes.
It is possible at this stage that nobody knew who killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah, and the spectre of the pilot heaves up again because, that's complicated again.
Yeah. Just to note for when we get to that one, for the international pilot, they were forced to make it a contained movie in case it wasn't picked up. So there is a solution in that, which does not match the solution of later in this series.
And at the same time, it does. It's really confusing, ultimately, when you get it, which is why we're not doing it in this one, because it's such a headache trying to get the two of them to balance.
But yeah, because of the fact that they never planned for the murder to be solved, possibly at this stage you can't rule anyone out because nobody was at this stage was intended to be the killer.
You can't, but it always makes me think of Jonathan Creek.
Okay.
The Devil's Chimney.
Yeah.
So that's the one where the guy gets the call when he's off somewhere else, and basically it's the call that his ex-wife has died.
Mm.
And it's when someone says, it's her name, whatever, and he sort of immediately starts going into the whole, oh God, what is it? And it's you don't know what the subject of the message is yet. You just know that she's called, or it could be that she's called. And it's that kind of slip-up that I'd expect from Ben Horn, who has a good idea of why Lennon Palmer's getting this phone call.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, Bobby isn't behaving in a way that you would do after that as well.
I think that Bobby isn't smart enough to be the killer.
Oh, that too. Yeah, I think that's the other weird...
Especially when we're bearing in mind Cooper's let us know there is a connection and there has been another killing. Does Bobby strike you as a serial killer?
He's too young, for one thing. Yeah, I would say that too. And I think that's another aspect of Twin Peaks which is kind of curious, is the terrible relationships. Is anyone happy other than Doc Hayward?
I'd argue Pete's happy. He shouldn't be happy.
He shouldn't be happy. Okay, yeah, he's happy.
Doc Hayward's in a happy relationship.
He is, and so is Bobby's father.
The Palmers as well. I mean, their daughters died, but otherwise they seem to be a happy family.
I suppose they do seem to be a happy family. Everyone else is having an affair.
Pretty much. There are a lot of single people too.
Who's single?
Donna's single.
She's with Mike.
Oh yeah, she is.
This is the terrible relationship thing.
Dr. Jacoby's single.
That we don't know who's got someone.
Andy. Technically speaking, Norma as well, because it's unclear what her relationship is with Big Ed at the moment.
Oh, true, but her husband is in prison for manslaughter.
Yeah, I think that basically counts your relationship as over, doesn't it?
I get the impression that she's not divorced. Improv, then. Or improv and accidents. Because one thing that Twin Peaks is kind of famous for, at least this episode, is there are outright mistakes that are in this episode that were noted at the time and just left in there.
There are definitely a few occurrences where people's reflections have been caught in things, which is hilarious, including David Lynch in one scene.
Is it?
Yes, it's right at the start when Pete's called Truman.
Okay.
You can see David Lynch's reflection in the window behind Truman's head while he's making the call.
Oh, wow.
But other than that, you've got the flickery lights, which was a genuine electrical fault in the morgue set, which they left in because it was atmospheric. There is Jim, famously.
Yeah.
The mortician who is asked, I think he's asked to get something and he responds Jim.
Yeah. Oh, he's asked to leave the room and responds Jim.
That's it, he's left the room and he responds Jim. Because reportedly he misheard what Kyle MacLachlan was saying and thought that he was asking his name. And David Lynch liked it because it was kind of an oddly realistic scene of someone mishearing and just left it in there. But it's so surreal when you see it.
Yes.
Should probably note, because otherwise people will say we've missed it as well, there is one other particularly famous shot where a set dresser is caught in a reflection right at the end of this episode, which they did it intentionally. Notice that one, it's been intentionally left in, and it's relevant in about 2 episodes' time.
Yeah.
So there is a payoff on that one that we will get back to. We're aware of it. But yeah, when you were just watching through at this point, it's a blink and you miss it moment that you probably didn't see at the time.
Well,
But David Lynch saw it. But yeah, it's the scene in question, if you're watching along with us. If you pause it when Sarah Palmer screams at the end, just as she sits up, there is a mirror right behind her, and you can see someone's reflection in that mirror.
Yep.
That is the famous shot. The famous accidental shot that actually became really plot relevant.
Yes.
We won't go into it here, of course, because we're all watching along, but I just thought I'd mention it, just so you don't think we've forgotten it. But yeah.
Is there anyone we haven't really talked about? We haven't talked much about James, but I don't want to talk about James. I don't like James.
He's just dark and brooding at this point.
I think I'd argue he's worse than that. I don't think he's even dark and brooding. I think he wants to be dark and brooding, and he can't do it. Again,
I was thinking when we were looking at them, I know Bobby is supposed to be our quarterback.
he's too small. Way too small.
If you put him in a leather jacket, I'd buy him more as our biker. He's got more of that kind of look to him.
Yes, he would. Yeah. I'll give you that one. But I'm still going to say that I think James is one of the, because I think in general the actors are fantastic in this. It's like James and Leo kind of on the par compared to everyone else. James can't quite do the biker aesthetic. He's not quite got it, has he?
No, he doesn't quite seem rugged enough, I don't think.
No, he's a bit too soft, I think.
Yeah. But he owns a bike, so therefore he's a biker.
And somehow seduced Laura Palmer.
I just like and it's something you raised when we were watching it, of the lack of hangouts in Twin Peaks, which does make sense to a degree because it's such a small town if we take it at the original size it's meant to be. But what have we got? We've got a school.
Yep.
A hospital.
Yep.
A diner.
Yep.
A biker bar.
Yep.
And a gas station.
Yeah.
And these are our local hangouts. Oh, and a lumber mill.
Yes. On that note, there are apparently a lot of deleted scenes, one of which contains a location that will become relevant later on somehow, which was here in the pilot, but cut, which is a gazebo in the middle of town.
Oh yes, there's a cut scene in which Cooper is fascinated by it because he's never seen a gazebo before.
And but I think I was saying to you is that it's really odd that we don't see downtown Twin Peaks, like where the teens go to shop. And I don't think we ever do.
You just need, and it's something you'd see in a more teen-orientated series, is there has to be...
The Bronze.
The Bronze, basically, yeah. You need a teen-friendly nightclub or a teen-friendly coffee shop or somewhere where they go. The mall.
Yeah. Well, I think, unfortunately, despite that sign, Twin Peaks isn't that population dense, so they don't get a mall.
No.
But they have a coffee shop. The Double R Diner is the base we've got. That's what equivalent.
It's not really a teen hangout, though. They all go to the biker bar instead.
Well, they go to the Double R Diner during the daytime, and the Roadhouse for the evening.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a weird biker bar as well, because it's got really strange live music.
Very slow live music, yeah. It's like...
I love that bit where everyone's trying to dance to it.
Yes.
It's not really dancey sort of music.
Well, it's also how the singer is dressed. She's dressed like a biker person, and she's singing this really slow melodic song.
Because it's the theme song.
Did we touch much on Big Ed? We kind of alluded to Big Ed, but
I don't think we've got a lot to say about Big Ed yet.
Well, I can say that he's married to a one-eyed woman obsessed with drapes, which is such a sentence to say.
I love Nadine.
I know, but currently she's kind of a, I don't know, menace.
Ed, you haven't fixed my drapes yet.
And we'll get to the other notable thing we've seen her in, and Ed, because, wow, those two came as a pair, aren't they? Especially, we haven't talked about Donna much. She's a curio at this point, I think. I think the point is that she's meant to be Laura as she presented herself. Donna embodies what people thought Laura was,
but
versus what she
doesn't have the popularity of Laura, though.
Yeah, she doesn't have Laura's looks, but she is the good. She's the good girl next door trope without the attraction.
Also, the fact that she's supposedly Laura's bestie, but doesn't seem to know anything about Laura's double life.
Yes, she kept this apparently very secret, very hidden from everyone else in the town.
The other member of this kind of friendship group that's sort of on the outline would be Audrey as well. Because Audrey seems to know a bit about what's going on, because she makes that throwaway comment about going on picnics at one point.
Yes.
But again, we don't know if Audrey knows about secret Laura Palmer life.
Audrey is a weird one, and I don't even know what it's meant to make of Audrey at the moment, other than she is a gremlin. She's a very attractive gremlin, but she's a gremlin.
I was thinking a cat. There's that sequence where she's kind of poking the hole in the coffee cup at the main desk and just kind of says, what will happen if I remove it? And she's warned not to, so immediately removes the pen from the hole.
Yeah, but then she also torpedoes a business dealing by telling people that Laura Palmer died.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not quite sure how
she's a cat in human form.
Maybe so. I think it's interesting that we've got these people who you don't know what to make of yet. It's like, Josie is such a weird aspect to leave in, because you don't need her. You could actually cut her out and just have Catherine.
You can have that with several characters, to be fair, at this stage, but it's because, again, this is our introduction. It's a soap opera, and we don't know whose plots are going to be the first ones to be focused on.
Yes.
Because, in a soap, people have their little plot and then they fade to the background so someone else can have their plot. We don't know which are going to be our primary focuses just yet.
Yeah, so that's an odd aspect of watching it again as well.
There are also a couple of characters that you have kind of seen that you really don't know anything about yet, like the log lady.
We don't even know that's her name. You've just seen her once messing with the light switches. But I think it's part of, again, it's that the dissonance between Twin Peaks as we know it today versus Twin Peaks at the time, where we know that's going to go somewhere, or that's going to be picked up somehow, or there's going to be something to do with her. And if you're watching it cold, it's a case of, there's an eccentric lady at the back of the room with a log. Okay, moving on.
Oh, they do kind of draw your attention to her, though, and say that, I think Truman says, I'll tell you about her later, or something like that. So there is something there.
Yeah, and I think you could say that for a lot of different characters.
There are also some of these kind of characters that we've seen in the background that haven't even been named yet. Like, we very briefly see Bobby's family.
Yeah.
But I don't think we even found out their names, but they're evidently there and they could be a commodity.
Yes. The death of Laura Palmer has exposed a fault line in the town that no one is in. Although, some people know it's there, but most people are ignorant of how deep it goes down. And we don't even know how deep it goes down, but we know there's something else festering in Twin Peaks that people have been ignoring or were unaware of.
Especially with the discovery of the train car.
Yes.
Which is not the kind of thing you'd expect to find in this sort of idyllic mountain town.
Well, I'd say also the cocaine is just a wildly red flag, because that's cocaine is the big city yuppie drug, isn't it? It's not small town in the middle of nowhere thing. So yeah.
Thought I should probably talk about the kind of impact of this episode at the time.
Yep.
So, as previously noted, it was a risk, Twin Peaks. ABC were not sure how well it'd be taken because it's so different to a normal soap opera. And it was noted that it was the 7th most watched show on the channel that week when it first aired, so it was not a great success initially. And viewership halved by episode 2, making people worry about its future. Essentially, it was saved by a radio campaign where people on the radio started bigging it up and talking about how great it was and how it was the sleeper hit and cult classic, which encouraged people to start watching it. So essentially, it was saved by word of mouth when it looked like it was originally going to plummet. Because in particular, it was given the Thursday night slot, which put it up against Cheers, which is one of America's biggest successful comedies of all time. And notoriously, that slot was used to kill series. But also, for this pilot episode alone, it was nominated for 8 Emmys in the 1990 Emmy Awards and won 2 of them.
Oh.
So the nominations included Best Drama, Best Writing, Best Directing, Best Production Design, Best Actor for Carl McLaughlin, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actress for both Laurie and Fenn. And it won for... Dwayne Dunham won for Best Editing, and Patricia Norris won for Best Costume Design. So it's an unusual 2 for it to win, to be fair. But, showing how many it got nominated for just shows how well it was received. And it was a critical smash hit as well. The critics loved it and compared it to the work of Alfred Hitchcock.
I can see that.
So, even though the viewing figures did not show well for Twin Peaks, at least for the first few episodes, the critics loved it and kind of secured its place. They could see that it was groundbreaking, basically.
Which is good.
Mm. See, I would have argued at first that it's one of these sleepy towns where murders just don't happen. But they comment to Andy that he does this every time, which infers the fact that it's not the first murder Andy's seen.
And the inference is Hank's manslaughter charge was in the town as well.
Yeah.
So they're not...
It's not one of these places...
It's not idyllic.
Where you can say this has been the first murder in 50 years or something like that.
It's not the 1950s idyllic. It's kind of a more realistic 90s version of a small town America. But there's something going on under the surface we don't know about. So next time is another episode of Twin Peaks whose name... I didn't know these things had names, until we did this.
No, I've got to admit, I didn't know either. I'm just quickly trying to find it for you.
Because everyone just refers to it as episode 1 of Twin Peaks and episode 2. So next time is Traces to Nowhere. If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsagainstrange42@gmail.com.
You can also find us on social media and hook me up if you'd like us to present anything for you at the start of this show. Especially if it pertains to The X-Files, Twin Peaks, or Garth Marenghi, the things we have looked at so far. You can find us on Blue Sky and Tumblr at GetStrange42, or on Facebook by searching for Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. Additionally, if you're not sick of my voice right now, you can also find me on Twitch. I stream Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. GMT and Saturdays at 5 p.m. GMT. My username there is AdverseCamber42, and I am currently playing Legacy of Kain Defiance, The Wolf Among Us, and Slay the Princess, The Pristine Cut.
Our theme music is Vision by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Comptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember...
She's dead, wrapped in plastic.